Hi there, and welcome to the first video in a series called Weight Loss Myths. So in this series, I'm going to deconstruct for you all of the different things that people hold in mind that basically stops them from being able to lose the weight naturally, sustainably, and permanently. And that's what we want, right? None of us gets up in the morning and thinks, woohoo, I'm excited to go on a diet today. And what's the next fad diet that I can do? Most of us feel a sense of dread around dieting. That's why people put it on something that they're going to do on Monday, right? And in my experience, I haven't done a lot of fad dieting as an adult, I have to be honest with you. But when I was a teenager, I was like totally into things like binging and then starving myself. I would spend if I had decided Monday I was going to start a diet, then what I would do the couple of days before on the weekend is I would binge eat. And then what I would do is punish myself by buying myself fashion magazines. I'd buy 4 teen magazines, 4 adult magazines, fashion magazines. And then I would also purchase a McCain cake, okay, a bag of chips, and I would go to McDonald's and get a bacon double cheeseburger. Okay, so and I'm sure a chocolate bar would have been thrown in there. So I would literally like stockpile as much junk food as I could get into me before I would start my diet on Monday. And where would I get ideas of what I should be eating to go on diets? Well, it was all these fashion magazines, right? It's not that I was studying what health was, right? At this point in my life, what I believed is that in order to be healthy, in order to be thin, which is actually what I cared more about at this point in my life, was that I would have to eat like a rabbit. So in my head, I equated healthy eating, which I then equated with being thin, would be carrots, celery, and lettuce. So if you can imagine, I almost felt like it was impossible for me to ever be my ideal weight and maintain it. In fact, it wouldn't be uncommon to hear me make a joke about how food was the devil, okay? That's how I felt in my life at that time, that food was the devil, because I felt like it was there just to make my life difficult, to make me feel overweight, to make my stomach feel full and make me feel heavy and tired, and to give me acne. So that was my relationship with food. It was the devil. It was the thing that was making my life difficult, making me feel bad about myself. Okay. So this series is all about deconstructing these paradigms that we live in. Okay. I did not know what true healthy eating looks like because I didn't understand the variety of foods that existed out there. Okay. As a teenager, your tendency is to just want to eat really quick things that you get at, say, a restaurant. Okay. I used to live in the country and go out for coffee with my friends, and we went to a Greasy Spoon restaurant and ordered fries and chicken burgers and burgers, and then drank coffee like crazy. And then, would go out in the evening to another coffee shop, to Robin's Donuts or something like that, and eat donuts with the coffee, right? So I had no idea that there were foods outside of those foods that were delicious, but that would not cause you to be unhealthy or gain weight. So I thought that the only way to be thin was to go on these fad diets. So I basically starved myself into, about the weight of maybe 125 pounds in order to wear my grad dress. Okay. I also went on Weight Watchers when I was at some point in my teens. And of course, that's not very sustainable. Anytime you have to like track something, it becomes impossible to maintain for life. And I will give Weight Watchers the acknowledgement that I did lose some weight, even eating more food than I normally ate, because at least the diet was actually gearing me towards more food, right? Because sometimes we actually hold on to weight because we're starving ourselves. And when your body thinks it's starving itself, it's actually going to hold on to weight. So eating more food, this is the first time I learned that eating more food could actually result in more weight loss. But at the end of the day, it wasn't sustainable. I couldn't keep going. And I don't even think I was on it for more than a week, to be honest with you. And that's the problem with these diets, is that they're not a lifestyle. They're something that people do for a certain time, and then the weight creeps back on. And unfortunately, what happens is being on these fad diets it actually damages your metabolism, so that you have to actually start off at a higher weight the next time you go on a fad diet, right? So you come off the fad diet, you gain more back, okay? And then you know, punish yourself and binge and stuff like that, and then go, okay, I'm gonna try again. Then you try the next fad diet. And all this makes your metabolism more and more rigid, okay? And some people get to the point where they no longer diet to lose weight. They diet just to maintain the weight they're at, because their body is so out of balance. So the one thing we do know, likely you know already from your own personal experience, is that fad diets don't work. But I'm going to show you the statistics on it to prove to you that that is in fact a fact, okay? So just in case you think that I've always been thin, I am going to show you a little PowerPoint of what things were like for me at a certain point. All right, so let's get this playing. Okay, so in this video and throughout this series, I'm going to be sharing with you what to do instead. So as much as possible, I'm going to be giving you hints and tips to get started right away. Okay, so I dropped 10 dress sizes. Okay, this is me here, right here. Hold on, why is my, you know, of course you're doing a video and that's when your mouse doesn't want to work, but you can see on the, it would be, you're watching this, it'd be your right side, I think. But anyways, the heavier person on that side, that was me at 176 pounds. I literally woke up one day and realized that I had gained about 20 pounds in, like, I swear to God, it was like in a month, okay? And after having babies, I had always been about 155 pounds. So nobody would look at me and say I was overweight, but I definitely wasn't thin. I wasn't at that weight where I could just wear any kind of clothes I wanted. There were bulges and things like that, of course, after having babies. And then, and I was fine with that. I just accepted that as, okay, this is my new normal. But then when the day that I realized that I was 176 pounds, was an absolute shock to me, because for all these years, because I hadn't actually, since I was a teenager, I hadn't been body obsessed at all. If anything, the opposite. I had no full-length mirrors in my house. I never went on a scale, okay? However, just before this picture was taken, I had gone to a event to learn how to do video for my business. And I walked past a mirror and I thought, oh, that's so funny. I look bloated. It looks like I'm pregnant, okay? And it still didn't occur to me that I had gained all this weight. And in this picture, this is the first time I noticed that I gained the weight. And I was at my mother's house, we were having dinner. And like I said, I never had a scale at home. And she happens to have one in her laundry room, and I stepped on it and I got off and I was like, so shocked. I had to get off and get back on again. And I realized this is real. Like, I'm 176 pounds and I felt the blood rush from my arms, like from my internal organs to my extremities, like I went into fight or flight. And it was extremely scary for me. And the reason why is because I did not know what had happened. I was like, oh my God, what the hell is wrong? I'm a holistic nutritionist. I eat whole foods. I don't know what happened. There must be something wrong, right? Like people often don't equate being overweight with a symptom. Your body's screaming at you, something is wrong. I'm going to cover that in a coming up video. But I totally went into shock. And then for weeks I was in a state of futility, because I thought, if I already eat a whole foods diet with meals cooked from scratch, and this is the weight I am, what more could I possibly do, right? So I went into a total state of apathy, okay? After some time of doing some research, I figured out what the problem was. And essentially, to make a long story short, I had insulin resistance. Now, no, I hadn't been diagnosed as a diabetic. I hadn't been diagnosed even as being hypoglycemic, or dysglycemia, which is the more modern way of saying hypoglycemia. I did know, though, that I was the kind of person who could not go very long in between meals without snacking, and you couldn't take me very far. Take me on a hike, and 30 minutes in, I need to get back because I'm starving. Okay, these are some signs of hypoglycemia. in this video, I can't go into full detail about that, but I'm going to invite you to sign up to a list I have where you're going to get access to a couple different webinars. One's called the Weightless Webinar, and another one is called The Sweet Life Without Sugar. And I go into great detail about this. So you don't have to be a diagnosed diabetic to have insulin resistance. You just have to be overweight, okay? So there we go. I dropped 10 dress sizes, okay? So in this picture here, I was 176, and as of today, I'm 131, okay? And I did all of that without counting calories, carbs, fat grams, or protein. I didn't do any excessive exercise. I walked for about 30 minutes a day, and I snacked between meals, and I snacked before bed, and I ate as much creamy, rich, sweet comfort foods that I loved, okay? So you're gonna wanna pay attention if that's the kind of program that you think would be a great fit for you, because anybody can do this. So let's get the proof. Let's make sure that we understand that if we go for another one of these fad diets, we're guaranteed to fail, okay? So number one, the obesity industry, which includes things like commercial weight loss programs, weight loss drug manufacturers, bariatric drug centers, the surgeries that go on in there, will likely top $315 billion this year, okay? That's nearly 3% of the overall US economy, okay? So there are some people out there who benefit financially from you believing that the next fad diet is going to work. And they benefit from the effect of that fad diet crashing out your metabolism and making you need to get on another diet very soon, okay? So, don't make them rich by putting yourself in a place of suffering, okay? I'm gonna have a sip of my coffee here. Which, by the way, I don't put cream in my coffee anymore. I put whipping cream in it. Okay, so what you're going to be learning in this series is a lot of different things, including more about how I got skinny eating a ton of fat. And no, this is not the ketogenic diet, and it is not a low-carb diet, okay? So let's go to number two. 65% of people who successfully complete a fad diet will end up gaining all of their weight back that they lost, right? You know this. I don't really even have to go through these stats with you, but at the end of the day, I kind of have to, because, have you ever heard the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results? That's what most people who diet are doing. They're being insane. So as much as you know instinctively, intuitively, you know from experience that a fad diet is not going to work for you, you're going to be tempted to do it again anyways. So part of this video is to help you to deprogram that tendency and start opening up to the possibility that there just might be a better way to do this, okay? So number three, more than 95% of people relapse from a diet in 5 years or less, okay? I'm gonna say that's like 5 years or less. Okay, we got the 95% statistic, but think of yourself and all your friends and let me know, how long have they been able to maintain the fad diet that they're on? I would guess that out of these 95%, 5% could even make it to the 5 years, because people are starving on these fad diets. They're not getting their nutritional needs met. And the lack of pleasure, right? We're built to desire and experience pleasure in life. So any diet that is rigid and lacks pleasure is not going to be sustainable. And it's very likely to be causing nutritional deficiency. And that is why these diets cause your body to become sluggish, your metabolism to become more sluggish each time you do one. Okay, so number four, the average American adult tries to implement a fad diet 4 times a year. 4 times a year? This is the definition of insanity. Let's try something that we know isn't gonna work 4 times a year. It's funny. It's funny, we're funny. Humans are weird, okay? It's the promise of easy, right? That's what people are looking for, is to be promised that it will be easy. And that's not the case, okay? The program that I run my clients through, it's pleasurable, okay? It's satiating, but it's not always easy to get started for people. But once you're in the flow, it's a lot easier to maintain, okay? But it's just that getting started that people struggle with. And people also struggle with not getting, a quick result from their program, okay? So the reason why people are drawn to these fad diets is because they actually cause you to lose weight really quickly, but that doesn't maintain, right? The weight just stop, you hit a plateau also quickly. Okay. Whereas if you do it properly, like I share with you in my program, the Delish Diet, you lose weight slower in the beginning, okay, unless you're willing to, be somebody who goes on a cleanse. Then your weight loss is going to be more steady and sustainable, not necessarily quick, okay? But slow and steady can equal over a period of 2 to 3 years a significant permanent weight loss. Okay, and that's what you're looking for, right? Is to put behind you this obsession with your body image and your food, so you can just get back to your life and like live your purpose. Okay, like what is it that you love to do? If you spent all the time that you were thinking about your body and food and put it into a hobby or a business or something like that, just think of like how much more value you get out of your experience of life than obsessing about food. Okay, and then finally, within 2 weeks, 25% of Americans will give up on their weight loss goals. Okay, so we know out of the 95%, 25% don't even make it 2 weeks. Okay, so it would be crazy. It would be insanity to go on another fad diet, let's face it. Okay, so let's look at the why of why fad diets don't work. Okay, so I did mention to you that they don't work because they are literally stalling out your metabolism. That's exactly what they do. But here's why. So number one, they're not based on how humans are meant to eat. Okay, humans are not meant to obsess about portion sizes and counting things when it comes to food. So it's directly or indirect opposition to our nature. Okay, plus they include processed foods. Okay, protein shakes, protein bars, diet pills are not healthy. Okay, so they may be in the meantime allowing you to lose some weight, but they're not healthy enough to be eating forever. So number one, we are sure that the diet's not sustainable because you have to keep buying that food forever. Are you going to do that? If you're not going to do that and stay on the diet forever, then what's the point? And they are often full of chemical toxins, right? Additives, things that are unhealthy that are added into those foods. So you really don't want to do that. So you're also causing your liver to become sluggish when you eat these fad diets and their processed foods. In fact, I've had people who've come to me who were in the past on a popular weight loss fad diet who lost a whole bunch of weight, but at the end of it was diagnosed with something called, their doctor called it sludgy liver, okay? Which basically it means that the liver is getting really stagnant and it's not able to produce clean bile, and then the bile duct gets infected, okay? You don't want to have, you don't want to lose your health to be thin, right? So they're not healthy, and that's just a couple of examples. So number two, it doesn't address the physiological drives that are causing the person to have behaviors that fuel fat gain, okay? There are certain reasons why you are having cravings for junk food, okay? And if those are not actually addressed, okay, you are never going to stop overeating. You're always going to be using willpower and always fighting with yourself, okay? They do not address the physiological drives, which are essentially vitamin, mineral, and macronutrient deficiencies that basically cause your body to tell you to eat crap, okay? So it's not even your fault. This is something that, now it doesn't mean it's not your responsibility to change it. Absolutely. This is not something that you have to be a victim around just because you're aware of it. But honestly, this whole dieting system that exists has been put in place to keep you in the dark about this and keep you on the hamster wheel of dieting, okay, for profit. And also, this supports our medical model, right? If people are continually doing things that keep them unhealthy, well, then we keep the medical machine alive, okay? If we all just went into perfect health, and that's what our medical paradigm focused on, was prevention and showing people how to be healthy, well, we would have to flip the whole thing on its head, right? Because it wouldn't be able to make money the other way. So you need to find out which vitamin and minerals you're deficient in order to fill up those stores so you automatically stop craving certain things that have been things you haven't been able to stop yourself from eating, right? So when I talk to my clients, I let them know that if I've asked them to please stop eating something and they find they can't stop, that don't pretend that you haven't been eating them. Tell me for sure that you haven't been able to stop yourself from eating them, because I feel it's my responsibility as the nutritionist to find out what is missing in your diet and help you fill in those gaps so that the craving goes away naturally. Okay, so we're not trying to use willpower. Willpower does not work because it only lasts short term. Okay, so we're trying to change the physiology of the body so that it actually starts to crave natural whole foods. Okay, so that essentially also covers number 3, that nutritional deficiencies perpetuate more weight gain. And they don't just do that on the level of, what I mentioned, but they cause all sorts of different effects on your hormones, okay? And then that impacts your metabolism and makes it almost impossible to lose weight, even if you're starving yourself and exercising like 5 hours a day, okay? So number 4, based on counting stuff. Obviously, that's not sustainable. How much counting do you really want to do? In fact, there's a lot of diets out there that are healthy and work well, but I personally haven't done because I'm not interested in doing a lot of counting, okay? So I had to figure out, how do I set up a program for myself and others that is intuitive so that they can get the results of those diets that are known to get people results more quickly, yet without having to do all that counting. Okay. Okay. So moving on. So the other problem is that the fad diets are based on the calories versus calorie out model. Okay. And again, that does not work in the long term. It sets you up for a future failure with that same approach and other approaches because of the starving. You starve yourself of calories, you're starving yourself of nutrition. And then that impacts your hormones and your metabolism. Okay. And the calories in versus out model does not work for people who already have a damaged metabolism, right? If you're past 30 and your testosterone is starting to fall, as even a woman, testosterone is really important for women as well. Your muscle mass is decreasing, your metabolism is slowing down, okay? A calories in, calories out type of diet that worked for you at 20 is no longer gonna work. In fact, you might get fatter getting on it, okay? So that does not work. And I'm gonna do, in one of the following videos, I'm gonna focus just on that topic. Okay, so number 6, deprivation is gonna set you up for binge eating. And then you end up with rebound weight that makes you heavier than when you started, right? Okay, so anytime you put yourself in major deficiency, there's gonna be a fallout. On the other end, you're going to be craving more of the stuff that's causing you to gain weight than ever, okay? So if you are interested in learning more about how I personally can help you to let go of the weight without giving up the rich, creamy, sweet comfort foods you love, then I'm gonna invite you to apply to speak with me to discover what it is that's keeping you stuck in your journey to letting go of the weight, okay? You can also email me at support@nutritionwisdom.ca and also message me on Facebook if you'd like to chat about how I might be able to help you get to the next step on your journey so that you can get started on a sustainable approach to weight loss that's natural and is permanent, okay? So, and then finally, if you are interested in seeing all the remaining videos in this series, I'm also inviting you to sign up for a webinar. It's called the Weightless Webinar, where I share how stress is a major cause of weight loss or weight gain that's difficult to lose, especially for women who are stressed, and as we age and more stresses and more disappointments and all these things happen in our lives. The webinar is all about how stress keeps the weight on and how to let go of the stress so you can lose more than just the weight of your body, but let go of the weight of the world to lose the body weight as well. And basically, once you opt in for that video series, there's going to be some follow-up emails that lead to all the videos in this series, so you won't have to miss any of the videos in this 30 myths, weight loss myths series. Okay, so you can find the link to this training in the post, in the comments, or in the description, okay? And so when you click through, you're gonna come to a page that looks just like this, and you put your name and email in, and then you'll get instant access to the webinar. So let me stop this share here so I can say goodbye eye to eye. So again, I wanna thank you for joining me in this first video of 30 weight loss myths, and I cannot wait to see you in the next video where we're going to cover another weight loss myth that is going to change your perspective and take some of those limiting belief systems out of your mind so that you can believe in yourself that you can really do this, that this is different than other programs that are out there. And just because you haven't been able to get results in the past, and just because you've made it feel really hard or you think it's really hard, I promise you it's not. And in this series, you're going to learn a whole bunch of different mindsets and perspectives that are going to make it so that you're going to feel that you know 100% that you can do this. All right, we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.